Good afternoon, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to our national and global news recap of the day. My name is Olga. Perhaps we're familiar with each other on social media. I'm known as Onest Press. If not, please get in touch. And I report on the news 24/7, literally 365. So would love to get you there on board as well. And of course, first things first, if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, please like this, please share this, which connects me to why I'm late. I'm late because I was banned to go live on X. I was banned to go live on YouTube. I was not being able to go live anywhere, so I had to fill out forms, and then somehow it worked. So, and let's say hi to folks. Hi, Tidy Whitey. Hello. Hello. Hi, Peter. Hello. Hi, Esther. I'm here. No, did not plan to go live later at all. Just sat here for 20 minutes filling out forms. Hi, Michael. Yep. Jared, good afternoon. Did you get your UN stuff sorted out? No. So if you haven't read it on socials yet, I have applied to cover, naturally, UNGA 80, which is UN General Assembly. This is where leaders are coming to New York City, to UN headquarters. They are delivering speeches. Trump is set to speak on September 23rd. And they will be debating and voting on the two-state solution for Palestine, which is the main news or takeaway from this UNGA 80. But of course, they will be talking about Ukraine. They will be talking about, obviously, Russia and China and all of it. I have applied for accreditation. I cover, G20, G7, NATO, most of the events, White House correspondent. So I've been around the block, so to speak. And I got denied yesterday. And they said, denied for absolutely no reason mentioned. And so I called them back and I said, would you at least explain why? Because I submitted samples of the coverage, everything up to my copy of my American passport. So they said, we can't help you, email. Okay, I emailed, I asked, I can show you the email. Then no response. I waited 24 hours. And I mean, mind you, all of this starts on September 18th. So given today is September 3rd, we're just like about 2 weeks away from it. So I, don't want to wait. So then they will tell me it's delayed. So I called back again. And literally what I was told was, oh, yeah, we spoke to you yesterday. Yeah, well, no, we can't provide a reason, can't help you. I said, why not? Who can I talk to get it resolved? And ultimately, the guy goes, I give you 1 minute to tell me what you want to tell me, and then I will hang up. And I said, excuse me, who do I have the honor, to speak with? Like, who talks to me like that, literally? He goes, that's none of your business. I said, excuse me. He goes, you waste my time. I said, no, you are accreditations department for UN. I'm a journalist seeking accreditation that you denied with no reason. So this is all part of your work and my work. If I'm wasting your time, equally so, you're wasting mine. He said, it's everything you want to say. I said, I'm asking the reason for it and what can we do to reverse your decision. And then he hung up and blocked my number. And this is UN official office. So obviously I emailed again and I don't expect any changes there. So, but during the last week of September, essentially from the 18th to 28th, about 10 days, there also, UN part is why people are officially coming to New York. But there are a lot of conferences on the record, off the record meeting, because mind you, all the leaders from all over the world are in the same location for about a week at least. Some go in and out, but there are conferences like the Clinton Global Initiative, which this year will feature only few journalists. I'm confirmed, and they are welcoming me back. Last year I covered it for them too. Then there's other different conferences, different meetings. I also will have or will attend private meetings in the missions and consulates of France, Netherlands, Italy, Germany, and whatnot, UK also. So I'm in direct communication with the missions and diplomats, and altogether I will have 27 events that I'm confirmed for that week. So we're not going to be bored. We're going to have information, probably more information that we would have gotten at the UN. UN will, show Trump's speech and whatever. But it's very interesting, and certainly I will not be able to reveal sources. Some of you messaged me and I messaged you back, but I have a pretty good idea what the reason behind this is. And the reason is located in Washington, D.C., at the Hobby Lobby White House. So, yeah, I mean, it's the new times, right? So we have to be careful. And maybe it's a good thing that I'm not invited there. So I don't have to be careful with what I drink and eat and everything, given the times. Martha goes, best part of every day. Oh, thank you, Martha. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. So it's just not the UN. And I mentioned Morgan. Hello. Yeah, I don't think the UN is part of it. The new mission to UN is part of it. Hi, James. Sorry I'm late to the party. Have rewind later to watch the rest. Okay, good, good. Okay. And Laura Jane, thank you for reposting the stream. I appreciate you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about national and global news. Yes, Trump did meet with the right-wing president of Poland at the White House. I do not consider it news, so I don't have any readouts on that. Neither I did include it in today's briefing. Why? Because we haven't heard anything worth mentioning. Why? Because it was regular gibberish on the tariffs being fantastic, the cities being crime infested, him saying that, I mean, maybe the only takeaway is Trump praising the right wing president of Poland and the Polish president thanking Trump for helping elect him, which was kind of awkward given president of USA, president of Poland, what's your relation? But rather than that, same old, physically and literally, and, same old. So no news there. Also, the president of Poland called himself a historian at some point, and I expect him to tell Trump about Volyn. Remember, I was talking to you about the region in Ukraine where Polish people lived, and where they say Ukrainian Nazis killed them. This was a part of 1939 period where Polish people were slaughtered in that part of Ukraine, while also Ukrainians were slaughtered in the part of Poland after Poland took over that part of the Ukrainian region at that point. So there were, over the years, there were different horrible events happening. I'm not denying that Ukrainian nationalistic party at that point did that. What Ukrainian historians and politicians are telling, first, bad timing. This happened 80 years ago. They can return the remains once they can study whose remains are where, because given that both Ukrainians and Polish people were slaughtered. Also, 1939, then that region in particular, and this is a bit of a disconnect here, was not under the Ukrainian government or regime, as Polish people call it, but it was actually under the Nazis regime. So they need to figure out what is what. Then Ukraine is more than willing to return remains and have closure for everybody, including the families of those people who lived there. But Ukraine is fighting for its survival. So now making this the reason why Poland is vetoing Ukraine's access to the EU is bad timing, because if anything, you are helping Russia. And since the president is right wing, goes anti-EU, is very pro-Trump, you see where this is going. Also, he has been heavily promoted by the CPAC, by the Musk people as well. I mean, everybody traveled to Poland during that election in support of him. So, I thought actually that Trump will walk out of that meeting and tell all about Ukraine being Nazi regime and all that. Maybe this will follow. Maybe this is what Putin told Trump, wait a few days until you learn that big thing. Maybe that's the big thing. But altogether, if anything, if you're German, if you are Ukrainian, if you are Japanese or whatever, there are part, or American, There are part of our history that we perhaps are not so proud of, or even embarrassed for, or even very sorry for. And we need to, yes, present closure for those who have suffered by explaining and exploring facts, recognizing what's right and what's wrong, and creating this type of understanding between each other, right? Denying facts, like the current US regime denying that slavery was a bad thing. Now we're debating allegedly that slavery, maybe this was a good thing. Reversing history. Or if you listen to Putin lying about World War II, lying about the Rus itself and Ukraine, and claiming that Odessa was Russian. Meanwhile, Catherine the Great made the story up and called Odessa theirs, and all of this, right? So there's so many polarizing things where history is overturned, and the regimes are using it for their advantage. Same as the big parade in China and them declaring, Xi Jinping publicly declaring Russia and China the biggest winners of World War II. I mean, there was Soviet Union, China, really. So, facts matter. That's what I want to do. And that leads me to the story I want to begin with today, which are the survivors of the Epstein doings, for the lack of the better word, speaking out today. And yes, at the same time, Trump was meeting with the Polish president. There was a flyover of B-2s and warplanes, whatever. And, a lot of people understood that as a diversion from the Epstein victims speaking out. I do believe this was Trump's way to show Xi Jinping that not only you have a parade, I have B-2 bombers. I think this was for Xi Jinping rather than for this. Because, I mean, did they really achieve anything? Like, did they prohibit them from speaking? And even if they could prohibit in any way, they could just go live and talk about it because they decided to speak up. And I applaud all of these women and the lawyers, but mostly the women, for finding the power and strength to talk about it. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not very unfamiliar with such experiences. It's very difficult to revisit it, and especially to share it with the public. And so really, I'm applauding their strength and their resilience for speaking out. What happened yesterday was that the Oversight Committee on Tuesday released 33,000 files related to Jeffrey Epstein, including flight logs, court filings, depositions, memos, records that they essentially edit. Now, then the Democrats spoke out as to, well, after careful review, oversight Democrats have found that 97% of the documents received from the Department of Justice were already public. This was said by Representative Robert Garcia, the committee's top Democrat. Quote, there is no mention of any client list or anything that improves transparency or justice for victims, end quote. And so, yeah, they're pretending that they want to release the files. Meanwhile, they are redacting them. They're taking away information that is very important for the transparency of the case and for moving the case forward, while pretending, again, for caring about this. Now, Republicans, meanwhile, are pressing for broader disclosure. Representative Thomas Massie introduced a bill to compel the publication of all Epstein-related files in full. Now, until they denounce this government and its efforts to separate Trump from this case and for protecting pedophiles, which I think we are often neglecting, as a fact of this story, because we're lacking the visuals. The victims are adult women speaking right now who are well versed, who look adult, but we don't have to forget that all of that happened when they were children. We're talking about pedophiles in charge who took advantage and harassed and hurt these women, ultimately very negatively impacting their lives. Some of the women weren't even there. They took their lives. Like, we have to understand the point of it, because we're not seeing children speaking, we're seeing women speaking, because time has passed since then. So, outside the Capitol, Epstein survivors and their lawyers delivered emotional appeals. And one of the attorneys spoke out. I want to show you his statement. It's part of his statement, where he spoke about the files that they know about, but we haven't seen. It's 1 minute, 15 seconds. Please take a look.
Unfortunately, all of the documents and evidence that we have worked so hard to gather hide behind protective orders, confidentiality agreements, and bank secrecy laws. That is why this discharge petition is so important. While we have seen the documents, you haven't. And when you see the documents, you're going to be appalled. And the American people deserve to see everything. When you sign this discharge petition, it should mean nothing is off limits. That means the documents in the possession of the CIA should be made available. Those in the possession of the FBI going back decades should be made available. The SEC, financial records in the possession of FinCEN should be made available. Everybody knows that evil flourishes in the darkness. Corruption flourishes in secrecy. It is time right now to make a difference for the women that are behind me right now. They have been courageous and fought through this whole thing. Whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, this one is an easy call. You're an American who cares about equal rights and equal protection under the law. If you care about these women, if you care about our country, and you care about this issue, this should pass with flying colors.
And then the victims also spoke about their physical and mental scars that will never go away. Again, we see adult women speaking, but don't forget that we're talking about pedophiles assaulting children. Pedophiles that are not just rich, they're powerful, and they're still powerful. Somebody posted a meme saying that, when it was with Epstein, and saying that if I weren't dead, I would be in the cabinet. I mean, we can laugh about it, but is that really funny? So, one of the victims spoke about the possibility of the victims presenting their own list, because certainly they are familiar with the people that were there. I do believe the list already possibly exists, and those who are familiar with the case know it. But they spoke about it again, 1 minute, 15 seconds. Let's take a look.
Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. Yes. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
And I want to talk about the, moment is actually, this moment is more than Epstein. This is what's being decided here. And again, I'm applauding women for finding strength and power to talk about it and bring this to the forefront of not just our news cycle, but the world and global news cycle, because everybody talks about it. And this is now whether it's one of those situations where the world will see if the famous system of the United States as a country and the biggest democracy in the world will stand for what it was known and praised for. In other words, Will US institutions confront this systemic abuse and deliver justice, or will they play politics and protect those in power? Because then there is no system. That is the system that the United States is praised for. You go, it's yes, it's a place where you can have opportunities, open business, all that, but altogether it's a system. It's peacemaker, it's democracy. Do we still have it or don't we? Because if this is neglected, if this is falling under the okie doke thing, and it's like, okay, well, Trump is out, everybody's out, this Maxwell is freed and pardoned, and it was just another day, then we don't have that system. So will there be justice, or will there be political games? Do we have a system? Don't we have a system? I have a pessimistic view on that, but I do still have hope, because I'm also a sort of a optimistic realist. Let's hope. Okay, we see, you mentioned MTG delivering a good speech. Yes, again, even the broken clock is right twice a day, but do they understand, and do they really believe that Trump is part of it? Do they believe he isn't, and that's why they're pushing? Are they used as useful tools to represent that, yes, GOP also cares, but there will be no action following that? So I do hope there will be. We'll keep an eye on it, and we'll keep talking about it. Now, other news, the Chinese V-Day, as they call it, Victory Day Parade. Now, this was the biggest parade since ever that sort of Xi Jinping put together. And this was the very first time when Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and Putin stood together since the Cold War. Essentially, Putin came into power in 2000, but Russia, China, North Korea standing together. And this picture sort of became this historic view, right? And for the first time, they are projecting sort of an image of unity and authoritarian strength. Now, the gathering itself, if you see it here, coincided with Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Now, and then in Beijing altogether, more than 20 leaders attended this, right? So, of course, it was designed to showcase China's global leadership and push this less Western-centric vision of the world order. Now, at the event, Xi Jinping spoke, and then for any Asian leaders specifically, I'm not being here, racially oriented, but I'm being here more tradition oriented. It's very uncommon for a leader, specifically of China, to be very straightforward and to talk like that. But of course, precursor for that was the summit in China, where I've been reporting on it day before yesterday, where they were cementing the idea of China becoming this, the country protecting peace in the world, going back 80 years, seeing that they made a mistake, trusting United States to stabilize the world. What did they get in return? US acting obnoxiously, starting trade wars, overcharging their allies for arms, not helping them win, not doing anything, and provoking others to, respond with military actions. And so Xi Jinping vowed to oppose hegemonism, right? And bullying practices. So he did not really name United States, but this is what United States is known for in that part of the world that is using propaganda against us, right? Which is a critique of the United States. Now, he promoted partnerships with Russia, North Korea, and Iran as part of his bid to present China as credible alternative to U.S. dominance. Now, of course, this thing featured here 10,000 Chinese troops. This was in Tiananmen Square. They all marched in lockstep alongside hundreds of advanced weapons. And, declaring China's rise as unstoppable, Xi used the parade to underline his ambition to reshape global governance and the position Beijing as a counterweight to Washington. Now, President Trump was reacting. And he was tweeting, and unfortunately, he tweeted at 9 p.m. last night, which was 9 a.m. China time, and he gave them a topic to talk about. Like, at least tweet in the morning, our time, when this is over. But anyway, Trump responded with a tweet saying the big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and, for some reason, he put it in quotation marks, blood that United States of America gave to China. Was that fake blood? I mean, people died. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin, says Trump, and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. Now, Chinese media was mocking it. Chinese state media said it feels like President Trump is sour today about China's V-Day commemoration for the 80th anniversary of the Victory Day in World War II. Then Vladimir Putin was speaking. It was this very, they tried to put it in some type of like majestic ways. He was standing there, was a whole visual. And he essentially said that, Trump's tweet about this conspiracy shows that Trump has a sense of humor. And then he said, well, in fact, throughout this entire summit, we never, ever spoke badly about the current U.S. administration. If anything, we spoke only well about Trump. Why would you speak negatively about this administration that tanks the United States itself? He's very useful to you. If anything, you should send him flowers because he's doing the job you would have never accomplished. Because you would have never accomplished to destroy the United States from within. Because you have this useful fellow. Obviously, you didn't speak badly about him. Why would you? So, now, it's sort of like a mixed global presence, right? So I did report on the summit that happened before. For instance, Prime Minister Modi was there, bunch of other leaders. Now here you had about 26. Modi wasn't there, which sort of like, yeah, I align with China and this SCO, whatever. But the summit and the economic trade and all that kind of stuff. But militarily, I'm not at the parade, clapping for Chinese troops and recognizing them as this big power. So, from Western world, Fico was there, and which is Slovakia's leader, and Serbia's Aleksandar Vučić. Both of them spoke with Xi Jinping. Fico said that he's going to travel now to meet with Zelensky and talk about him, what he has learned from Xi Jinping and Putin. Don't count on it to be anything that Zelensky is not familiar with at this point. We all know what they want, surrender. Now, only them attended this parade from the Western world, so to speak. So, it's kind of like China is declaring themselves as a leader, but they're completely not recognized as such from a very important part of the world, which is that Western world. So European Union is not really aligning with you and not really appreciating you sending troops and helping Russia invade Ukraine progressively with possibility to invade the Balkan states and whatnot, right? So double game here. Now, another bizarre twist was there that Putin and Xi Jinping were walking to this parade thing, and they were caught on a global mic where Putin said, and this is in Russian, you clearly hear it, but there will be now the subtitles, so prepare to read it, where Putin essentially, through his translator, talks to Xi Jinping and goes like, well, people used to live 70 years, but now because of organ donors and their help, it says that one can live up to 150 years. Here's that video. Please prepare to read the subtitles. Let me remove the banner so you can actually read it. This is just 43 seconds, so let's take a look. And you know what? It's so sad, honestly, because you have these authoritarian leaders who are all of a particular age. who know very much that they're mortal, who know that they will not take this entire country and their power into the grave, who know perfectly well if regime cracks, they know what happens to those authoritarian leaders. Think about Gaddafi. At that point, I worked for UN. I spent all night at the UN Security Council on a big ass screen, watching everything they did to Gaddafi. Unfreaking forgettable. And these efforts, they know exactly what can happen if there is just a slightest crack in the regime. And here they are talking about using other people as organ donors to just keep living longer. Delusional, sad, as somebody likes to tweet. But Kim Jong-un brought his possible successor, and this is his daughter. Now, she attended all the meetings. She had the clearance to attend every single bilateral, the conference, the parade. She was seated next to him. And she's being very much groomed into the successor of the regime. Of course, there's nuclear power. He's showing everybody that it's not just him. I mean, he's in his 40s. I think he's 42. But he shows that, if anything, there is a successor, his daughter. She's publicly not really known, but the sort of the awareness is that her name is, what's her name? Jue, Juae, however you pronounce it. Why do we know it? Because we have the fella called Dennis Rodman, who traveled there in 2013 and told everybody that he was going to the Kim Jong-un's family and he was holding a little baby. And so, since there are no other, we think this is her. She, in 2013, she was a baby, so she must be around 12. For the visual, it looks kind of sort of pathetic. That's the successor who attends all the secret and not so secret meetings. Now, as to Putin, Putin also met with Kim Jong-un, and he publicly thanked him with hugs and kisses and all of it for sending North Korean soldiers to help him invade Ukraine. Kim Jong-un said, thank you and all that. He's glad, all that. But it's very pathetic that, Russia, that is so poor, not everybody has a toilet, just for the visual, is relying on North Korea, that is so poor, to help them invade Ukraine, their neighbor. Pathetic. Now, less pathetic, pathetic but evil though. Russia launched a massive attack on Ukraine. Naturally, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reported that Russia launched 526 means of destruction overnight, which is more than 500 attack drones and 24 missiles. Just imagine it. Just imagine 526 explosions. Who can survive that? Now, Ukrainians. The strikes targeted civilian infrastructure, with the heaviest damage falling on energy facilities, transportation hub, and even like a parking garage. As has become routine, residential areas were also hit, with dozens of buildings damaged across multiple regions. Firefighting operations were still on the way up until the morning. Zelensky said, these are clearly demonstrative Russian strikes. Putin is showing his impunity, and this undoubtedly requires a response from the world. What response? United States is still, Trump today was saying, I hate this, I hate both sides, stupid war, people, he's making up numbers, how many people are dying every day, he makes up just a different one. Just keep it fun and fresh. And, there will be consequences. There will be, I don't know. There's nothing. Now, for European Union, they try to be less provoking, but where is the limit of this less provoking situation? Will you act? Will you grab yourself by a hair and do something? Please. Now, Zelensky stressed that the attacks are only possible because of insufficient international pressure. Quote, it's only due to the lack of sufficient pressure, primarily on Russia's war economy, that this aggression continues. I mean, she's right. The message was clear. Without stronger sanctions and tighter enforcement, Moscow will continue to fund and escalate its war. He's right. Okay. So as to that U.S. military boat strike, yesterday, remember when Trump was at the Oval Office, he said, "We took it out. We took it out," incoherently talking about a boat with full of drugs. Then Secretary of State Rubio said that they took out the boat carrying drugs. Then Trump today in the Oval Office said that we bombed a big boat from Venezuela that had tons of drugs, hundreds of people. Meanwhile, I'll show you the video that Trump actually shared on Truth Social of the boat that United States bombed, killing 11 people. Here's the boat. You see here, targeted the boat. It's a very tiny boat. I doubt there are tons of drugs. We don't know what that boat is. They allege that this is connected to the Tren de Aragua drug cartel, which was in the Caribbean. Rubio confirmed the attack, calling it a major step in administration's war on drugs. The action marks significant escalation, the first actually act of war, right, or military force against Latin American cartel. Now, Trump defended his stance on Truth Social, quotes, "The cartel was designated foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror across the United States and Western Hemisphere," end quote. When CNN asked Rubio, "Did you have the authority to direct the strike?" Rubio said, "I'm not going to answer for the White House counsel. It's sufficient to say that all of those steps were taken in advance, but this was directed by Rubio." Now, Venezuela's response was the strike comes just one day after Maduro warned that his government would respond to any U.S. military action with armed fight. This raises the risk of direct confrontation between Washington and Caracas. Trump sent 4,500 troops there. It's not enough for invasion. Why is it happening in the Caribbean and not Pacific? There's so many questions as to why we're doing this. Are we doing this to call for martial law? Now, that could be useful for this administration. But altogether, this just helps support Xi Jinping's message that the United States is obnoxious and just like invading people and doing crazy stuff. And we here so peaceful. And you guys, tariff war, bombing ships, and stuff. Of course, what we need to, I mean, if you want to fix the war on drugs, or you want to win the war on drugs, you have to, of course, target those that supply drugs. But you also have to take care of the simple fact of why there is demand in the United States for such drugs. Just say no is not sufficient, historically speaking, right? We can't produce PR stunts and bombing little ships. You have to target this problem that certainly does exist from different angles. You have to defund it, and you have to fix the demand for it. And what is the administration doing for it? When we declare, homeless people and drug addicts as crazy people and putting them in paid jails, so to speak, that will be profiting those that support this regime, that's a whole different story. We're not fixing anything. We're just monetizing the problem. So are they going to fix it, or are they going to monetize it and help, sort of hold Maduro accountable? Meanwhile, Maduro is very much supported physically and economically by Russia. To the point where, I told you that a couple of days ago, where Maduro gave gold reserves to Putin, right? It's sort of maintained in St. Petersburg. But in return, Putin sent Wagner group to help Maduro stay physically in power by slaughtering people in 2019. So I don't really think that, Putin is approving or directing Trump to do this. But this does help to hold Maduro sort of like, a little bit awake and not to overstep his authority. But are we using that for martial law? We will see. Because if anything, I would guesstimate this would be one of those reasons. Now, internally, as to HHS, 1,000 plus employees, former and current employees, now calling for RFK Jr. to resign. They wrote a letter demanding him actually to resign. The letter accuses Kennedy Jr., I must say, of putting the health of all Americans at risk, citing his firing of CDC Director Dr. Susan Manaras, appointments of political allies to key vaccine policy roles, and for resigning of emergency use authorizations for COVID-19 vaccines. Now, today we also heard that Florida has eliminated all the advisory for vaccines, for all vaccines at this point. Those who signed the letter urged the president and Congress to appoint a new Secretary of Health and Human Services, one whose qualifications and experience ensure the health policy is informed by independent and unbiased peer-reviewed science. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. In fact, RFK Jr. today was, at least information was leaked, that he has hired 7 people who are very much aligned with MAGA and very much lacking any experience working in the medical field. So, as to Google, remember yesterday the sort of ruling came allowing them to keep Chrome, right, the search engine. So U.S. federal judge ordered Google to hand over search results and some of its data to rival companies in an effort to curb its dominance in online search. Importantly, the court did not require Google to sell Chrome web browser, and as a remedy, the government had argued was necessary. Now, Judge Mehta wrote that plaintiffs overreached in seeking forced divestment. Now, instead, Google must stop brokering exclusive search contracts and will be forced to share the data it uses to rank search results. Now, Google said they will appeal this because that's the core of their business. I mean, people are paying to be first in the search. Now, shares of Google's parent company, Alphabet, jumped more than 8% in after-hours trading. Now, in other business news, if you're a fan of Heinz ketchup and Kraft Heinz, they're splitting in two. And this sort of, they announced this. This is the undoing of the biggest food industry merger, which now even those who did the merger say that this was sort of a flop. And this made them too big to react to the changes and demands of the food industry, where people are looking for healthier choices, for different ingredients. But because they were so big, they failed to maneuver, and they were gigantic. Now, this will split in 2 parts. It will be a global taste elevation company that will keep Heinz, Kraft mac and cheese, Philadelphia cream cheese. And then North American grocery company that will keep Maxwell House, Oscar Mayer, Lunchables, and Kraft singles. Now, if you're from US, you certainly know what this is. If you're not from US, you probably don't. But just know that this also part of the big changes in the food industry. So they have several breakups, like Kellogg's split in October 2023. Then Keurig Dr. Pepper announced the division of its coffee and drinks units. Then the investors, Elliott Management, took $4 billion stake in PepsiCo. Nestle CEO resigned yesterday because he has an affair with a subordinate. So the food industry is being a little shook. Okay. All right. Quick comments. Let's check it out. She should try some mercury like the first Chinese emperor. Oh, yeah, that'd be purple. Very girlish conversation, that evil access video clip. Yeah, about the donors. In 2 weeks, Trump will always solve everything in 2 weeks. Yes, Skyman Foley. Hi, hello back. Welcome back. Peter says such an action could trigger an international incident in the UN. Yeah, Jared says, since when is murder okay? Killing another country's citizens in international waters, right? And we don't even know. I mean, they're alleged to be part of this gangbang, but we don't really know. I mean, we don't even know who those 11 people are. Meanwhile, it's apparently hundreds of people and tons of drugs. On what? On that little ass boat? Who are we kidding? Penny says, hi, Penny. Disappointed that military is not standing up to this regime, right? And I mean, Rubio is directing military strikes. That's new. That's very new, given this position. Now, what's also new, Vogue. Vogue is not new, but they have a new person that is taking over from Anna Wintour. Her name is Chloe Malley. She's working for 14 years for Vogue. She is the new head of editorial content. Now, all of this has to do with what's his face? Amazon, Jeff Bezos buying Condé Nast, talking about buying it, replacing people, putting his wife on the front page, putting her in charge. Also, this is part of the movie industry as well. She wants her to be the Bond girl and all that kind of stuff. So essentially, Anna Wintour doesn't want to be part of this shit show. So she will remain global editorial director and chief content officer until the girl is very much, integrated into the system. Now, this lady is daughter of Candice Bergen, which is French, which is an actress and also French film director, Louis Malle, or Mal, right? How you pronounce it. So, quick national news. The Federal Appeals Court blocked Trump from using Alien Enemies Act to deport people from Venezuela. Trump blamed AI for this viral video of people throwing stuff out of the White House. Meanwhile, workers who worked on Lincoln bathroom said that we were there. We opened the window. We were throwing trash out of the window. So it was confirmed to be real. ChatGPT now will roll out parental control features for teens this month following the wrongful death lawsuit, which was a horrible thing where a teenager just Googled things and ChatGPT helped him. Yeah. Now, Disney agreed to pay $10 million to settle a children's privacy lawsuit with FTC. Apple's lead AI robotics researcher is leaving and joining Meta, which is sort of one of the latest string of those high-profile poaches and where people are trying to steal employees to each other, trying to win the AI war. And McDonald's is bringing back extra value meal menu for the first time since the pandemic. And if you're familiar with the the Big Mac index, I think people are very familiar with that in Europe for some reason, where you can track like the pricing for Big Mac in all the countries, and that's how you can see how economically worse and well every country is. So this is a clear sign of our economic development and actually stagnation, if not decrease of our well-being or in our well-being. As to global news, remember President Biden by the end of his term traveling and being literally in a helicopter flying over Amazon River, then pledging to invest $400 billion over the years into the lungs of our planet and all that, and then Trump canceling all of this out. So a new study finds that the Amazon rainforest is getting drier, and the shift is directly linked to deforestation. Now, climate reports. Remember last week we got this bogus economic reports that told us that our GDP is growing by 3.3%, that we have $30 trillion more, blah, blah, blah. Same happened to climate report. Scientists say a Trump administration climate report that downplays global warming is filled with errors and cherry-picked data. So essentially, we're getting into the times where we cannot trust anything, any number that we're getting. French judges issued an arrest warrant for Bashar al-Assad, who infamously did flee to Russia, accusing the ousted Syrian ruler of killing and wounding journalists in 2012. Now, good notion. Will it result in anything? We'll see. As to defense news, this is crazy. And this is, again, benefiting Russia, benefiting China. I mean, all of it. The U.S. Air Force plans to shut down several units dedicated to training foreign militaries as part of a cost-saving push. The move reflects shifting priorities across the Defense Department. In other words, this will mean that Ukrainian, as now Pentagon likes to say, warfighters, will not be getting training by Americans as much as our NATO allies. So taking those units out preventing our allies to train with our military just shows you that our military is not going to be part of anything that other allies will be part of. Maybe America now knows when and what Russia will do next with the help of China and North Korea, and tries to pull our forces far in advance out of this game. Could be one of those. Now, the US Space Force has been working with private investment firms to accelerate access to emerging technologies. This we know. Now, this initiative has created a pool of companies whose products the service views as strategically valuable, according to senior defense official. Now, in other words, Palantir, SpaceX, Blue Origin are just the companies that the Space Force will work with. And if you watched my video yesterday, part of our live stream, but I cut it out, and I said, let's remember how Space Force was created. It was created to officially give money to SpaceX. And so now you have Palantir, Blue Origin, and everybody who joined. As to Pentagon, the two senior officials now have departed the Department of Defense. These are Ashley Manning, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Cyber Policy, and Jonathan Owen, Acting Deputy Assistant Secretary for Homeland Defense Integration and Civil Support. What Pentagon said was that they're moving on from their positions as of September 2nd. Nothing else shared. Quick NATO updates. There was a Brussels meeting on September 3rd today, where NATO Secretary General Rutte met with Estonian President Alar Karis to discuss support for Ukraine, NATO deterrence and defense, and implementation of decisions from NATO summit in The Hague, meaning Western allies are investing more of their GDP, up to 5%, into military aid. And obviously, Estonia is on Russia's list. And so their president wanted to know what NATO will do for them in case Russia knocks on the door. Then on September 4th, Rutte is going to go to Prague in Czechia and deliver a speech in IISS Prague Defense Summit. And from there, virtually, he will join the Coalition of the Willing meeting in France, in Paris, which will be hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Will we hear anything we haven't heard before? I highly doubt it, but it's good that they're speaking. And no, Trump's not traveling to Paris, unlike the rumors said. Now, trading, right? While the United States is pulling the forces out, quitting the training, UK is stepping in. Under UK-led Operation Interflex, that, by the way, on the Ukraine's Independence Day, UK said that they will be extending until the end of 2026. They operate in those intervals, so they will extend it more and more. Same as Canada extended the Operation Reassurance, right, by 3 years. And Prime Minister Carney explained that we just go in those 3-year intervals. So Ukrainian soldiers are undergoing a 10-week platoon commander course designed for experienced troops who have already completed basic training. The program focuses on battlefield tactics and procedures to exploit Russian vulnerabilities. So this is good, at least. Now, as to Israel, now they are mobilizing reservists. That's how you pronounce it. Thousands of Israeli reservists have begun mobilizing, while Israel ordered residents of Gaza City to evacuate south as preparation for an offensive intensify. In other words, Trump Gaza in the making. Prime Minister Netanyahu said the operation aims to defeat Hamas and secure release of hostages. The United Nations estimates 20,000 people have already evacuated in the past 2 weeks, but nearly 1 million, which is almost half of Gaza population, remain in the city. Big numbers if Israel will decide to do what we fear they will. As to Thailand, crazy stuff's going on. So there's a succession battle. Why? Because this was triggered when the court last week removed the Thai prime minister. So now they are debating about succession. So Thailand's ruling Phoi Thai party announced it will seek a snap election after the leader of the Boomjai Thai party claimed he had enough votes to become the next prime minister. So two parties are fighting and they have a snap election. That's it. Now, today in history, you'll read it in our news briefing that I sent you. It has no, paywall. It has no paywall. Just read it. Please subscribe. Get it Monday through Friday. Actual factual news. I'll post the links in the description of this episode. If you're not subscribed, it's also in all of my social media profiles. But some things to mention from today in history, September 3rd, 1783. Treaty of Paris famously happened. American Revolutionary War ended and Britain recognized U.S. independence. 1939, World War II began by Britain and France declaring war on Germany after its invasion of Poland. 1976, Viking 2 landed on Mars, which is NASA probe touches down, sending the first color photos of Martian surface. 1935, the speed record, Sir Malcolm Campbell broke 300 miles per hour at Bonneville Salt Flats. And 1752, calendar switch happened, which was interesting that the British Empire skipped essentially 11 days and moved to Gregorian calendar. And this is very interesting. This really knocked me out of my socks. San Marino was founded. And San Marino is the world's oldest surviving republic that was established. And guess the year? 301. The oldest republic that still exists, San Marino. So next time you meet somebody from San Marino, do a little, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. All right. I have a nice video to show you to finish on a cute note per usual. Michael says, Trump said the White House windows weigh 600 pounds. Yes. He said it. Must be right. Right? No surprise. Lies from the regime. Yes. Susanna says, we honor all Epstein victims and the family. Gratitude. Keep strong everywhere, everyone. Absolutely. Amen. Penny says, may they all be kept safe. Brave women. Yes, yes, you're talking about the Epstein victims. Peter's thank you. Jared says, thank you. Yes, thank you. Now, cute video. Okay, are we ready for the cute video? I don't know. Oh, it's about a dog. You're meeting another dog. Okay. Watch it. It's 1 minute. Let's finish on a cute note.
It's like looking at a bird. Oh my goodness. Is your face right there? That's so cute. Oh my
As you see there, the dog's favorite toy is Pluto. And so when he met him, was all this. Very nice and cute, right? Okay, we're done. It's, Wednesday. 2 more to go this week. So I'll be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. What are we expecting? Coalition of the willing. We don't know what Trump is doing tomorrow. They sent their schedule around 9-10 p.m. Eastern, so I'll post it. Rutte is visiting Prague. There are some elections happening in other that I'm monitoring, so I'm going to put it up tomorrow. But altogether, just count for me to tell you what's actually real and what's actually true. And I'll keep you posted on my UN journey. I think there will be nothing more. I mean, yeah, it is what it is, but we will be busy. We'll have a lot of information coming, and 27 events. Can you complain? All this will be a lot of funnier and more interesting, probably, during the UN week. Okay, goldens are definition of love, right? Yeah, they are. I don't have a dog. Do you have a dog? You happy? Yes, you should be lucky. Feel lucky if you have a dog. Okay, or cat or any other animal. They're cute. Thank you for being here. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay positive. Shut down the news. They're mainly noise. And do what keeps you upbeat. Okay? It's a marathon. Thank you for being here. And see you tomorrow.